How's that?
That's perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vika Stubblebine. Thank you. I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Not Your Daddy's Films. Like Barbara and Rich spoke about, have had to do all of these things. We are about to turn 3 years old as a company, and I honestly started from zero, knew absolutely nothing when I was starting this business. I went on YouTube, I read books. It was a lot of teaching ourselves. There's 5 of us co-founders, and we are all multi-hyphenates. So all 5 of us are directors. I am a TV writer. I spent the last 4.5 years working on SWAT on CBS. And I went to school for musical theater. So I didn't have a business degree. I didn't have any of that. Everything has been learning by doing. It kind of sounds, from what Rich was saying, are you cinematographers? Are you producers? All of the above? Okay, cool. So I'm speaking to my people. Essentially, this company started by accident. My friend Carly and I had both finished writing, directing, producing short films around the same time. They were about 10 minutes each. And we had gotten together for drinks. And we were like, let's do it together. Let's have a night to screen our shorts. And like, do we know any other women directors? And I didn't. I knew like 2. So that felt icky. And we, through the grapevine, found a couple other women to screen their work. And we knew the manager of a bar. They had a projector, so we had this screening event, and like 50 people were there, and we screened our work, and we were like jazzed about it. We're like, okay, great, that was so fun. Can't wait to make our next film. And at that event, everybody asked us when the next one was, and if they could recommend a filmmaker, and if they could get involved in our company that didn't exist yet. So we ended up getting coffee, all 5 of us, and being like, do we want to do this? And we're all type A to the nth degree. And we were like, there's a gap here. This is cool, and there's a lot that we can offer each other. All that Googling we did, all the things you learn when you're making your first films, and you're like, okay, where do I rent from? How do I hire a crew? Like, what do I need a cinematographer and an AC? Things that people don't know if they didn't go to film school, especially. So we figured we could fill that gap and also promote the work, especially of women and non-binary filmmakers, because there is this big gap in our industry for related to women and non-binary filmmakers, also to people of color. And so we're like, we didn't have money, but let's put our money where our mouth is, and let's actually like build this together. So USA Today did a feature on us, and it's 5 minutes. So I'll play this, and then I'll talk a little bit about the different branches of the company. But I think they did probably a better job than I could. I would love to see a future where the film sets that I'm a part of in any capacity look more like a Not Your Daddy's Films event, that they're full of people of color, every gender, every age. A lot of sets I've been on are predominantly male, predominantly white, and that's systemic. It's who has been in this industry and who had the opportunities. And I think if we get to be part of changing that landscape, then that's a beautiful legacy. So, okay, you get the vibe. This is what we're about, but it's also a business, and I feel like that's what we're here to talk about. And a lot of the things that we're learning by doing. So we started out with the event series, which was every other month, and we would do about an hour of programming of shorts and music videos and documentaries and animation made by women and non-binary filmmakers. Also, just to be very clear, we don't hate men. Like, everyone is welcome. It's just like spotlighting the work by these folks. So we do an hour of programming, and we also make sure that that's really good, because we want people to come back, and we want people to know that they can trust us as tastemakers. And so I think that is also really key. Whatever your business is like doing things with intention and knowing what your point of view is, and knowing like, this is what I aim to communicate. This is the type of space I want to create. This is the kind of set that I want to be on, and therefore create for other people. And then at these events afterwards, we do a one-question Q&A because we know people also want to meet each other. A lot of filmmakers, a lot of artists are introverts, and not me. I love this. But like, it's hard to do that face-to-face networking that you were talking about, and we try to create an environment where people can really meet each other, where it doesn't feel icky or stale or like, I've been to so many mixers where I'm wearing a name tag and I feel like it's so hard to connect with another person. And I think we've successfully done that. But then it's, how do you make money? And we would work with bars and venues where maybe an hour before they were actually open to the public, we would have our event. And then those people would be there at opening when they weren't making their most money at the bar. And we were giving them business. So sometimes it was a bar minimum that we had to meet, but also having it in the space that wasn't stiff, that was where you normally go to get drinks with your friends, I think imbued the event with that energy that we were aiming to create, which was, we're all on the same playing field here just by being at this event. And then we slowly started charging. We've never charged more than $20 for an event, but we've also never put our own money into the company. We've let that pay for itself. That has meant 1,000,001 emails. That has meant reaching out to every venue, every space that might want to also give back so that we can have mutually beneficial events together. And now we are part of Neue House's cultural programming. So they get something out of it. They have regular programming for the film industry in Los Angeles that we do all the legwork on. And then we get this beautiful space where they shot the I Love Lucy pilot. It's just ingrained in the history of this town. So I think the thing that I have learned the most over the last 3 years is to communicate clearly, and wait until you have a specific vision. You don't need to do anything before all the steps are laid out. I think you get really excited, creatively. If I have a draft of a script, I used to want to send that out right away. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I should edit it first. It is that same energy, especially now that people know who we are and we're being reached out to. That leads me to my next point, which is that you can't do everything at once. And when you're starting your own business, be it you by yourself or with your friends or colleagues, you also need to take care of yourselves, otherwise you will burn out. I am the queen of that. And working on SWAT and going to set and producing my episodes, and then also coming home and doing emails for Not Your Daddy's Films, I was like, what am I doing? This is too much. And luckily, there are 5 of us. So I reached that point, and I was able to be like, I need to pull back, at least for this month, while I'm doing my episode, while I'm shooting this thing, and then I will pick up the slack elsewhere. And so we've developed a circular leadership style, where we have a weekly meeting on Tuesdays. We alternate leading that meeting. We alternate who's going to take the lead on an event. We host panels, we host workshops. We actually did a workshop with Atlas. We had Christina Dunlap, the cinematographer from American Fiction, and we had Ava Berkowski, who did Insecure, among many other things, talking about how they got their start. I generally ran point on coordinating that event with the different people, but then we just had an amazing panel that we did in collaboration with the Anti-Gravity Academy, and my partner, Catherine, who you saw in the video, ran point on that. Now she's gonna go off and shoot a movie, and we're gonna pick up her slack. So it allows us to have our individual careers and not get burnt out on doing this thing that we think is really important. So the mission statement, which I probably should have started with, is Not Your Daddy's Films is a social impact organization committed to empowering and educating women and non-binary filmmakers and all. So that is through the screenings, through the panels, and we always do it on a specific topic. We're going to have one on marketing coming up, because a lot of filmmakers who go through the festival circuit then learn oh my God, do I need PR, as you mentioned earlier? How do I capitalize this so that it moves my career forward? And then we've had ones with Black writers and producers in Hollywood. We've had ones on like all the below the line positions. And that's also what our podcast is about, is conversations that really tell you how these people got where they are. We had showrunner Alana Pena on, who created this show for Disney Plus called Diary of a Future President, based on her own diaries from when she was in middle school. And she had gone from staff writer to showrunner. And in that interview, she talks about how freaking scared she was because she's like, I skipped all these steps and now everyone is looking to me. And I find that very refreshing, to just get that no smoke and mirrors, just get the real information from people about how they've handled the successes and the pitfalls of their careers. The actual business structure, we're a 5-person member managed LLC. We're not a nonprofit because the long-term goal is to be a production company. So you can, of course, have, or maybe not of course, but you can have arms of your company that fall under different jurisdictions, but it gets complicated. And so for now, this is where we're starting, and you can always change that, and requires legal paperwork and all of that, but it's possible. We have SOPs, which is just like all these documents that list how we do everything, so that if we weren't running the company anymore, someone could jump in and be like, okay, this is how they do a panel. This is how they do a screening. This is how they handle their social media. And we're all millennial/Gen Z cuspers, so we're on Instagram at NYD Films. Follow us. You will hear all about our events, and sign up for the mailing list. We have a Patreon where we connect, filmmakers and whatnot, and give more insights. So I think that we've learned so much, and I know that I'm jumping around. My ADD is really showing right now. But I'm happy to answer questions more specifically. Yeah.
How many people generally show up at the events?
350.
Wow.
You saw, we started with like 30 people, but now the screenings average that. And then we usually do our feature screenings in a slightly smaller theater. It's like 75, 100. And then, it's cool. It's very cool. And then I guess mistakes, because I've made so many, is not everything needs to be a group decision. And something that we struggled with at first was figuring out who was point on what. And it's similar to being on set. Like, you've got your director, your assistant director, everyone has a job. And what we've decided is, like, I run point on the podcast. However, I always have one of the other founding daddies give notes on the podcast. And so there is like a group element to it, but we're all just like running with one arm of the company at this point, so that it's not like, okay, we got to wait because we need all 5 people to weigh in, like when they get back from that job or that class or whatever. We all know this because we've all, I assume, been on a set, or you've been in this room, or you've done a group project in high school, but communication. Unfortunately, it's not a skill that everybody has, and it's just the clearer you can be in your written communication and your verbal communication, the smoother everything goes. And that's such a simple thing that everyone can work on. You don't need anything to just be more self-aware, I think that's kind of all I got, but I'm happy to answer questions when we do that portion.